Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Alan, Arwin, Chris Monk, Mark Doxey, Sleeping Warrior, The Plain Truth, No Globe, and that's about it. Good to have you all.
Great to be here.
Good afternoon.
Greetings, greetings.
Greetings.
All hail the Enlightenment.
Indeed.
All hail Keck.
All hail Belu.
Who joined
No.
Tin
Yes, I was
Foil
going to say
Swan?
that. Yeah, Beelu just called. He wants his 7.6R back.
You can have it. We don't need it anymore.
7.6R asterisk.
R is redundant.
So, any signs of curvature, anybody?
Yes, there's one on the
No.
screen right now.
Other than the sun's curvature?
Whoa.
No? Anybody?
Nope.
Nope.
Axial rotation? Any signs of that, anybody?
Nope.
Stars.
Oh, wait, I got one. I got one for the actual rotation. What's his
Oh,
name
okay.
again?
Here we go.
Hold on. I don't know.
Anybody find any evidence of fire in a vacuum that will actually burn, or
For propulsion and that.
chemical reactions taking place in vacuum that are stable?
No.
No signs of that. There's a lot of claimed...
Nigger.
There's a lot of claimed stuff like that. Let's see if Pete gets it out of his system.
Did you get that?
Really?
Got to turn off his camera.
Well, he did
Isn't
do
it
what
real?
I told him to.
He's just a dick.
He is just a dick at the moment. He's welcome to stay. He was on the panel for ages. You know, he's welcome to stay. I don't know why he behaves like that, but he's got a bit of a problem. I don't know what it is.
A bit of a problem.
So what have you got on your screen? I'm presenting you now, Chris. What is this?
Oh, just reading through some stuff about effusion and diffusion of gases into vacuum, right? So gases expand in all directions from high pressure to low pressure. So they attempt to fill the entire void of the entire infinite vacuum of space, no matter what you do with it, right? So the gravity in their claim would have to overtake all of the
I
volume
am
of
speaking, so hopefully
higher
everybody can hear.
How's it going?
Hello, we hear you. Good to have you.
Oh,
Can't see your screen
thank
name.
you.
In a vacuum.
Sticks James, good to have you.
I was trying to find the actual diffusion rate in the vacuum of space, because I think I can't find it in this one, but I think it was around 50 kilometers per second. The gas will try to escape into space faster than the thrust of pretty much anything.
Makes sense. It's a vacuum, right?
Well, yeah, it's an infinite vacuum, right? So the gas tries to get into the state of lower pressure at an incredible velocity. I thought it was 50 kilometers per second, right? Which was faster than the escape velocity.
No, we don't hear you, Thinful.
Okay, my microphone must be fucked.
Effect. But either way, it's effusion and diffusion is what you want to research if you're looking for the information on vacuum, gas, effusion, and diffusion into space.
Cool.
The rates
Thanks,
are.
Hey, Nathan.
Yes.
I
Thanks,
found
Chris.
some axial rotation.
Okay. This should be good.
It's right here. See?
Love it. No, we're talking specifically about the Earth.
Yes, there's a lot of axial rotation there. A lot. Oh my. Oh,
Oh, that's brilliant.
is that Rumpus?
I was watching at Cody's lab the other day there, and he took like thermite in a vacuum chamber and couldn't get it to properly chemically react because there wasn't enough pressure in it to cause coagulation in the actual reaction itself. Like pure thermite doesn't require any oxygen or anything. It's it's just a chemical reaction type of compound, right?
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Well, we could just rule out Rumpus now. He just gave us a demonstration of the rotating axis.
Who is it that just spoke? Was that Thin Fourth or Slick James?
Thin
Yes.
Fourth.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think it was, yeah, the other guy that was crackly in the break. I'll turn you up, my friend. Can you say something again? Thin Fourth?
You know, it was Slick James that said
I
something.
think his mic doesn't work.
Oh, okay. It was Slick James
Yeah, I
that was
thought
quiet.
somebody was talking to me.
Thin Fourth.
There we go. I've turned up Slick James as well.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so apparently you need pressure, external pressure, in order to have any reaction at all in any gas, any medium or something to that effect. So I found that kind of fascinating.
Yeah, kind of pours a bit of a salty taste in your mouth when you're talking about the sun, right?
Well, yeah, like the sun or plasma clouds and, whatever, galaxies, the whole 9 yards, nebula. Got to be a source of pressure in order to have that, coagulation into some sort of a form or shape or chemical reaction. Like you couldn't get thermite to react in a vacuum chamber. It's a combustible. One of the most powerful explosives, on Earth. Right?
Amazing. It wouldn't react in a vacuum.
Wouldn't react in a vacuum, no.
Amazing.
And then he took it out and then he baked it on a spoon and baked it so it was actually almost like glass, where he baked it to make it hold together. So he forced it to be held together and then put it in the back of the vacuum chamber, pulled a vacuum on it, and then hit it with a laser, and it would just sit there and smolder. It still wouldn't react in a vacuum. Because the problem is, as soon as the reaction type tries to occur, right, as the elements try to explode and the heat expands, it tries to, then it instantly just fills the vacuum, right? It just expands into the vacuum faster than the reaction can occur, right? So how would a sun work, or galaxies, or all this other stuff? No pressure, no pressure, no reaction, right?
Right.
Who said the sun was chemical?
Any proof of dust on the shell?
Oh, I kind of want to do a shout out.
Somebody else was trying to say something. I don't know if it's Slim.
Hmm?
Somebody was trying to say something, but they were very quiet. No, maybe not.
It's a mobile.
Just mute.
Well, anyway, I want to do a little shout out to Wind James. Is a channel, and he makes very funny videos, mainly called Flat Earth Evolution. And yeah, I really like him. It's very funny. Yeah. So check it out, especially Flat Earth Evolution Memes 7. It's also 3 minutes and 33 seconds.
Since
So
you've mentioned
thanks.
333, so this is show 333, right?
Hey,
Hey, Slick
I got a
again.
phone call.
Welcome back, Slick.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this is,
I recognize your face now.
this is
Me?
Yeah, yeah. We talked in the comment section. Welcome to the panel.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I've been trying to get on for some time now, but I'm finally got there. Thank you.
No worries.
Story of my life.
So this is show 333 live. So Flat Earth Debate 333 live. But the number of subscribers, by pure coincidence, is 6,666 while I'm running show 333. Amazing.
Oh, I'm loving that 666.
All hail the Enlightenment.
What a weird coincidence, though. 333 show with 666 subscribers. Couldn't plan it.
Hey, Slick, are you a Freemason?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you on my what?
Are you a Freemason?
No, not at all.
All right, there's all these numbers here, man. These numbers are good. Someone has to be responsible for this madness.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I could be responsible, but I can't guarantee that.
Nice.
So you announced that at 11:09. Yeah, that's interesting too.
That is very suspicious.
Very
You know,
suspicious.
it's funny you mention those numbers because they also correlate to the numbers of degrees in chord formulations. In musical chords, they use 1, 3s, 5, 7s, 11s, and 13s. It's funny.
Yeah, it's all meaningless in regards to this channel. Nothing but coincidence. Doesn't mean anything. By the end of the show, I'll have either gained a couple or lost a couple of subs anyway.
There's no coincidence on Flat Earth, Nathan. We've planned this from the start.
Subconsciously.
No.
It was all leading up to this, was it, Arwin? Having 6,666 subs whilst running show 333. It's all been leading to this. This is the day. This is the day.
This is the day I cast my spell.
Your day spell?
I think the law of that. I think the law of averages say that every number has to come up at some point, or it just wouldn't exist. They're all even.
I guess that ties into the verse in the Bible that says, "Be careful not to find meaning where there isn't any."
Yeah, if you take a number, if you take all numbers from 1 to 1,000, every last one of them have an equal chance of coming up at some point. And I think what somebody did was pick a certain number and applied something to it so that brings attention to that particular number. But that number is no different than any other number. 3, 5, 7, 192, they're all the same. But just no one thinks about those other numbers.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you literally
entirely correct.
Plot them out individually, there's symmetry found in these numbers as well. If you subdivide them.
Yeah, there's all kinds of way to interpret numbers, but there are certain patterns that will occur.
Sure.
Like it's just algorithmically, 33 is a very special number.
Sure, exactly.
So it's 37.
But my point, I think the point that I'm making is if you just take the numbers 1 through 1,000 and forget about algorithms or anything like that, every last one of those numbers have an equal opportunity to show up at any time. No one of those numbers has a chance to show up more than any other.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
And if there's 1,000 news events every single day, then you're bound to see some sort of pattern, but you can't read anything into it, can you?
Exactly.
The question is,
go ahead.
The question is, do these things happen? Like, you know, suppose like these things that are occurring right now, we view them as coincidences, and then we're just trying to explain it away. But it only seems to be happening in this way, you know? Things always seem to fall in line in certain patterns that are repetitive.
Yes, I agree with that.
That's why I said algorithmically there is a certain pattern. And
see, I agree with that.
The Freemasons dove deep into that from within the occult, and they just appointed certain meanings, certain frequencies, you could call it, to certain types of numbers.
Right, because just like take the 666 thing. it is just as easy to appoint something positive as it is to appoint something negative. So it's just all in the appointment and who
It all
made the
depends on the
appointment and for
angle.
what reason.
It depends on the angle. 666 mostly stands for materialism, and it is the carbon atom, practically.
Right, but see, it could
So
be the carbon. But see, now notice that those things
it's
are
physical
assigned.
and also a foundation of life itself. And yeah, you can get all very philosophical about it.
But see, the point that I'm making is that those things are assigned to that number. That number didn't assign itself to them, somebody else did. So it's all up to who did the assigning. See, so if somebody assigns evil to something and we all believe that, then that just simply means we are believing the assignment. That doesn't mean
Yeah,
that
but then
the
you
number
place
is
it.
evil.
It's not an assignment. It's an assumption. It is a context, an angle of approach. But things are assigned. Basically, all these things are pre-designed by the creator as they have been pre-designed. Yeah, the creator assigned the carbon atom to be 666.
Owen,
That's just what it is.
why did the creator give AIDS to babies in Africa?
No, I don't think that the
Oh,
creator
come
did that.
on, really?
I think that biological weapon designers did
I was going to
that.
say, have you got any evidence that the creator did give AIDS to anybody? Because from my understanding, it's a man-made virus.
Exactly. Fabricated.
And your evidence for that is?
Look it up, ignorant.
But see, think about this. Think about this. Who is to say what numbers the creator assigned to anything? See, somebody has to determine that. No, the creator
Assign it.
never
No, but
reached.
it is
No, let
part
me
of the
finish.
design itself.
Let me finish. Let me finish. The creator never reached down and screamed to the whole world what 666 meant. See, so somebody had to decide that the creator decided what that meant. I never heard a voice come out of the sky that said what it meant from the creator. I never heard the creator speak. So who can define what the creator says if you never heard him speak?
And we're assuming that the creator goes by a denary number in the first place, don't we?
Hey,
But the creator doesn't
people,
speak.
actually.
The creator doesn't speak as person. Well, maybe he did as Christ.
No,
He speaks
no,
through his
listen.
creation. The
He
creation
does to
speaks
some
for
people.
itself.
Even today,
So
to
where-
some people, God talks to them audibly.
Yeah, but that's a different
God
angle
talk to
of
you.
They
approach.
hear his voice literally.
I'm pretty sure that the
Yeah, okay, but yeah, that can be different things.
Owen,
And
you
it is up to the individual to interpret
are you hearing
what is
voices?
said.
Are you hearing voices?
Yeah, I hear your voice right now.
That's for sure.
Don't
My take on all this is that the creator created everything. Everything out there is created. So just like we look out into the world,
created AIDS.
and in other words, we see
No,
creation.
he created humans, and
Can
humans
you guys not
created-
have a conversation over the top of this guy's point?
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. So basically what I'm saying is that the creator created everything, and all we have to do is look around us and it's right there. If you look at a tree, you can see that the tree was created. So you can read anything into the tree that you want, but the creator created it, and that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to it. There's nothing to read. It's just like the flat earth. You can look out at the world and see a flat earth. There's nothing to explain. It's right in front of you.
If you're an idiot.
I'm pretty sure the.
Why is it an idiot, Alan? Come on, expand on
But
that.
I wouldn't even call it literally created. It is more a design. He designed how things unfold, how life grows, how it responds. The base design blocks of it. That is what the creator did. And things now just unfold as they have been designed.
Sure, well, that's just like time. If you think about it, the creator.
Why did he design cancer?
Well, cancer is actually an inherent defense mechanism within all organic life forms. And then when you when you poison your system and your metabolism, then that cancer no longer can no longer function as it should be, and then it grows out of control. It can no longer be contained. Just like if a society gets poisoned mentally, or with could be diseases, or with a certain political stream, then a certain group within that society might start to rebel, or they might become corrupted, and then they will destroy that society. And that is exactly how cancer functions, because all human beings have several types of cancer within them constantly all of their life. It just doesn't grow out of control normally. It only starts to grow out of control when they poison themselves and their metabolism goes out of whack. That's when cancer certainly starts to become
Well, I'm glad you're not
uncontainable.
Like globe theory is a cancer within society, you mean, Arwen?
Sorry?
Are you correlating globe theory to cancer? Is that kind of where you're going with it?
No, he's answering what Alan was saying. That Alan,
well,
I think
globe theory is just a very extensive mythology. It is a fantastical, mathematical, constructed fairy tale that is very appealing to a lot of people and very easy to abuse for people that want to do that.
If you won't say it, Arwen, I will definitely say it. Heliocentrism is a cancerous polyp on the anus of humanity. That's what I'm going to say about it. So you don't have to like it or state it, but I will definitely state it for you.
All right. Well, I want to say on the brain of humanity, but
You know, if I can jump in there, a lot of people always say that the creator must be bad because he created things that do harm. But what people don't understand is that we live in a world of duality. You can't have one side without the other in reality.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
you can't have life without death, because without either one of them, neither one of them could exist. So to attach every disaster to the creator being this bad guy, that's not it at all. We live in a world of duality.
it is the
And a world
setting.
of sin,
It is the
which
setting
plays a
for
key role in the events that are unfolding.
Well, technically, I think that life and death is the setting for this world. It is what it has become after the pre-creation, which was Eden, where everything was immortal. But
Can I just?
If everything would have stayed the same, then there would only have been two humans basically.
Oh, and I'd like to talk to Alan. Alan, will you engage with me? Alan, is it your position that because there's cancer, there's no creator?
There's no creator at all. There's no proof.
Sorry, I missed that. Say that again.
There's no creator at all. There is no.
Oh, Alan.
Hang on. Let me stay with Alan, please. But Alan, you said because of cancer, there can't be a creator. Was that what your argument was a few minutes ago?
Not a very loving God if he gives AIDS to babies and cancer to children.
That's a product of sin, Alan. Don't be ignorant.
Give me a chance to talk to him. Say that again, please, Alan.
No.
He's not a very loving God if he gives AIDS to babies in Africa.
Who told you he was a loving God?
And who told you he gave AIDS?
Hang on, folks. Come on, let me just engage with Alan.
Jeez.
Alan, I spent £40,000 on a brand new Volvo, and yet Volvo recalled the car because there was a defect on it. It doesn't mean to say Volvo doesn't exist.
Terrible analogy. You're comparing a car to children with AIDS.
No. What you're saying is that there can't be a God because there's faults in the creation.
There is no God.
But your argument was there can't be a God because he created babies with AIDS.
Well, if there's a God and he's your God, then why did he do that?
I don't know. I don't. But you're saying there can't be a God because
there is
babies
no
have got AIDS.
No, it wasn't. I didn't say that at all. I said there is no God. You have no proof.
Yeah, we do. Creation. Yeah, we do.
He didn't create it.
Life is designed.
Talking snakes. If you believe in talking snakes, you're an idiot.
Well, it depends on what you say that the talking was. Maybe it wasn't verbally speaking.
Can I just make my punchline,
Maybe
please?
there was telepathy.
Hold on, Arwen. Hold on.
It was pre-creation.
Arwen, hold on. I think Mark's just trying to get to his point.
I hear atheists say there can't be a God because of the parasites or because of AIDS or children born blind. I don't buy that as a good argument. because the designers have faults when they design things. As my analogy said, that sometimes even the best recall a product because they made a fault in the design doesn't mean to say that the designer or the manufacturer doesn't exist. And I think that's what your argument was, Alan, when you said why did God create?
My argument is evolution.
No, you said.
Sorry, what evidence for evolution have you got though that you haven't got for creation?
You want to buy your ticket to the National History Museum?
No, sorry, I asked for evolution, not for history, for evolution.
Well, the history of evolution's there for all to see.
Right, so what evidence is there?
I've been to the Natural History Museum. They've got nothing but plaster casts of things.
Like a brontosaurus, Nathan?
Yeah, that sort of thing. Well, they've got lots of plastic animatronics of that.
Sorry.
I know that, not to interrupt, just to get in there, I also think that there's a difference between religion and the creator. They're not the same thing.
Yes, I would agree with you on that.
Are you finished, or did I interrupt?
So was that to me, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Carry on.
Nathan, is it okay if I plug not a rival channel, a fellow compadre?
Yeah, do what you like.
He's done a serious amount of work on this video, and it's definitely worth a plug. I'm just going to screen share, Nathan, if you wouldn't mind presenting it. What he's actually done, Taboo Conspiracy has done a video. It just released in the last minute or two, maybe half hour or so, whenever. I'm not exactly sure when. Why I'm a flat earther. 37 must-see experiments proving that the Earth's flat. And what he's done is he's compiled them all into one big video, and he's put the timestamps in them all, so you can look through for particular ones, and it's effectively going to act as an encyclopedia.
Apologize.
Pardon?
Hey.
Apologize. Continue.
So it's effectively going to act as an encyclopedia from all the flat Earth proofs, all in one place. Obviously, he's going to have to keep updating this. He's not going to. It's going to age with time. So I hope he's realised what he's doing here, because he's going to have to keep updating it. But for example, Skunk Bay. If you want to know where the Skunk Bay time lapse is, you can now find it in this one nice, easy to find video. So if anybody's not familiar with up-to-date evidence that Taboo Conspiracies volunteered to keep up to date and maintained, go on to his channel and check out Why I'm a Flat Earther, 37 must-see experiments. And if you know of other experiments that don't exist, please let him know, and I'm sure he'll add to it. And I feel sorry for you, man, because you're going to be doing this for a while.
Click share. Obviously, give it a like. Click share and just stick it in the side chat, and I'll put it into the main chat.
Stick it in the side chat? How do I do that? That?
For us. For the Hangout, and then I'll copy it into the main chat.
Okay, then. Sorted. Now I've got to get back to my thing. Too many windows. Carry on, Alan.
Good man, we got that.
I vote creation, intelligent design.
Well, put it this way. If we're here as a result of evolution, then, and that means therefore that there was no creator, why is it that there's even a flat earth debate? Because if it's evolutionary, which is empirical by nature and based on theory, why has nobody measured the curvature in the earth? Why has nobody measured the axial rotation? And why has nobody been able to demonstrate anything other than density to claim gravity? Why do these holes still exist on something that was an exploded rock that you all believe that evolved from, monkeys all evolved from? I mean, right, let's go with this basically, right? Where did the monkeys come from that we evolved from? So let's go back linearly. So monkeys came from what?
Lizards, and the lizards from fish, so-called.
So the lizards came from fish.
From one-celled organisms.
So the one-celled organisms came from what?
From a puddle of goo that was hit by lightning.
And what did the puddle of goo come from?
From chemical soup, just happened to.
And where did that chemical soup come from?
It was just there.
It was just there. Perfect conditions just happened
to be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Magically. Listen, anybody that believes in evolution, right, just look up either meiosis or mitosis, and look up them on YouTube, and you can literally watch what they describe or call cell division. But actually, to anybody with half a brain, it's multiplication and creation. One cell splits, as they call it, but to me, creates another cell from nothing. It's literally, you start off with one cell, you end up with two cells, and you watch it magically create out of nowhere, and they call that division. Now, in anywhere I were, if somebody had £1 or one ice cream, and then you gave them another ice cream, you would have two ice creams. That would be double, but somehow they call it division. So if you still think that evolution is it,
Tony, if you look up FE evolution, you'll find a page that says de-evolution and a picture of you and Nathan.
You're so funny, Alan. You're so funny.
Yeah, folks should look up like the term abiomorphs and abiotic oil too.
No, Alan, I don't think you're worthy of this hangout.
I've got you presented, Chris. What did you say?
Evolution is a religion.
Just to add to some of the terms that Anthony was talking about there, people should look up abiomorphs and abiotic oil and all of that stuff, and how much RNA and DNA is found in oil reserves and everything else. And it's abiotic, and flash of lightning, and some pressure and temperature, you end up with living organisms. So we're literally burning the future of creation itself, essentially, when you burn oil.
Did we leave that? Did we lose Alan?
Yeah, I think so. Hope nobody kicked him.
Well, it's
the sulfur-reducing bacteria in the abiotic oil that is basically the blood of Earth that keeps you alive. So keep on burning your future. That's smart. Humans are so smart,
Yeah.
Maybe that's what
I
they've
think that
co-opted.
I think that we have to be careful what we call religion and what we call reality.
Hello.
Hello.
Unorthodox? Oh dear.
Nord.
Hello.
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 Hi.
Hey.
How's it going, people?
Great.
Very well.
We love the name.
Another beautiful day at Globe Earth, right?
Yeah, man. Spinning 1,000 miles an hour, we can't feel nothing.
Good man.
What are you moving in 1,000 miles an hour in reference to? What's going 1,000 miles an hour?
The universe.
The universe. So there's a plane traveling over my head at 700 miles an hour. How does that relate to me? I don't get it.
It's relative to you, isn't it?
But you're going a bit faster than that. You're going 66,000 miles an hour around the sun.
Apparently.
So I'm going 66,000 miles an hour around the sun, 1,000 miles an hour around the equator, 700 miles an hour in relationship to this plane. I don't get how that relates to me though. They're moving, but I'm not, right?
You tell us. This is your nonsense, not ours.
Yeah, the sun and Earth and the entire solar system is supposedly spinning around that black hole, the Milky Way, which is spinning around the other more larger black hole at the center of the mega galaxy.
The Great Attractor.
That is spinning around something even more, and it's all spinning so incredibly fast with such velocity that no matter should be able to exist under that kind of force.
On wobbling axes and in the elliptical orbits with no acceleration or deceleration in the corners or exits. It's quite the hockey game.
Yeah, but I'm moving at 0 miles per hour in relationship to the ground beneath me. So I don't understand
You're
how all
still
these
opposed to the centrifugal forces of the entire universe.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't have the disease and avoid the freaking symptoms, man.
That's why I proposed an experiment to show you guys that the centrifugal force is basically, so minimal that it wouldn't affect you if, in fact, we're on a rotating globe.
Yeah, it might not affect
like
us, but it
0.03%.
It does affect the gases in the atmosphere. It might not affect us, I agree. But why are the gases in the atmosphere not upside down relative to us?
Because it's only 0.3% the effect of gravity.
Right.
0.03%.
It's still a positive. It's still a positive Newtonian integer at the equator. Still
And
positive
besides,
velocity.
gravity is supposed to decrease in strength the further you go up. So eventually, the centrifugal force will overpower the gravity force, because centrifugal force actually enhances when it's further away from the center axis.
Exactly, but it's so
exactly.
small.
So that should
small,
work.
pretty much meaningless.
The atmosphere should be slung off the Earth because gravity is not strong enough to keep it there, and the centrifugal force is actually becoming stronger higher up. So, some point,
but
it should
gravity's
be
like
just
100 times
venting
stronger
off,
than the centrifugal
venting
force.
off into the vacuum of space.
So you're
which
saying
should be
something that's
doing even if it
100th
wasn't spinning.
of the force of gravity is going to make it fling off. I don't really get that argument.
Unorthodox. You're saying it's so slight. Then who came up with it in the first place anyway?
Well, I presented the equations on the show. It's F equals R omega M. It's a very simple equation.
What's R?
The equation is the force, the centrifugal force equals R times omega, which is the angular rotation, times M times the mass.
And
it's a very simple equation.
What's rotating? What's rotating?
Well, whatever you want to be rotating. The Earth, the atmosphere, whatever.
That's it. That's your problem. You're coming in with us that the Earth is rotating. It's a presumption. We don't feel that. So how did you come up with? We're going so slow. We can't.
This is the problem we had last time. The flat earthers' argument is, if the Earth is in fact spinning, then the centrifugal force will cause the gases to go up, be higher in the atmosphere. My point is that that's wrong. If we are in fact spinning, then that is not true. The atmosphere, the heavier objects will not be at the top of the atmosphere. Everything will be just as it is right now.
How many times do you have to beg the question on this show, Unorthodox? If the world is spinning, then that's true. So if your presupposition works, then your outcome is correct. That's begging the question.
What's begging the... No, I'm debunking your argument.
No, you're not. You're claiming something. If the world is spinning, if you start with that presumption, you are begging the question.
I'm debunking your argument, Nathan.
You can't use my argument from earlier with that dumbass, right? No, you are making an assertion. Your assertion was, if the Earth is spinning. So you start with that presupposition that the Earth is spinning. That's called begging the question.
No, I'm starting with your argument, which is, if the Earth is spinning. It's your argument. It's the flat Earth.
When on Earth would a flat earther claim that the Earth would be spinning? We're not claiming that. You are, you dumbass.
No, you're claiming that if...
No, we're not claiming that the Earth is spinning, Unorthodox. Don't just repeat it. You're claiming, because you're an idiot with a religious belief in this R value, you have no scientific evidence R. You're claiming...
Nathan, can I address this, please?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. You apparently don't have any conception of how centrifugal force works. Have you ever been on like one of those small spinning wheels at the playground? Have you ever been on one of those?
Oh, and I'm an engineer. I've been.
Oh, yeah. Well, now prove it that you actually know something. Have you ever been on one of those?
I presented the equation on your show.
Have you ever been on one of those?
No, Arwen. Yes,
no?
Obviously I have as a kid.
Let me tell you how it works when you're on one of those. If you're gonna spin that thing around, and are you gonna let me finish?
I hope you got some math for this.
No, you don't need math. You just need to figure out how it works. You can experience this yourself. You can go to a playground and test this out. If you're going to spin one of these wheel things and you're going to stand in the center, then even if the thing is spinning pretty fast, if you can keep your center, you'll stay perfectly well. You might get a little dizzy from spinning around your own axis. That's fine. Now, then, if you actually move further away from the center to the side of the spinning wheel, you'll start to notice that the force applied on you, thanks to the centrifugal force, starts to increase quite dramatically. And if you are hanging on the edge of that wheel when it is spinning that same speed, you'll notice that that force will increase so dramatically that most people tend to like slip off. They can't hold on because the force becomes so incredible that they just can't hold on anymore. You know why that is? Because can you let me finish, man? Because
we gotta
can you let me finish? Let me finish. Let me finish.
Just all I want to know is the angular rotation rate.
Let me finish. Yeah? It's not going to take long. You just have to bear through this, Mr. Engineer. Okay, so why this is because centrifugal force of something increases dramatically the further away from the axis of rotation the mass that is being rotated will be. Yeah?
Yes, I had an R in my equation, Arwen.
Yeah, your equation. That is how centrifugal force has been proven to work. The further away from the axis of rotation, the greater the forces of the centrifugal force becomes. This is a known
You're not making
fact.
any
It's a
points that are
physical
relevant,
fact.
Arwen.
Are you an engineer? Or you just making it up, aren't you?
just explained my
You're just a
equation,
liar.
dude.
You're a liar. You're not an
my
engineer.
equation,
This
Arwen.
is basic schooling. Everyone
You just
knows this. You can
explained my
experience this
equation.
yourself. You're a liar.
You just explained my equation, Arwen.
Yeah, I don't need any freaking equations. This is just basic physics that everyone can test.
Basic
Everyone can
physics
verify. I just told you how to, and you're ignoring
equations.
equations.
F equals MA
You're
is
a
the
liar.
oldest known physics
You're
equation.
a liar and a
That's what physics are.
pretender. You're not an engineer at all. You're just a mathematician.
It doesn't really matter. What matters is the main points that make it valid.
You're a liar. You're not an engineer. You don't
I'm a
understand
liar?
basic
You're calling me a
physics, the
liar.
centrifugal force. You're a liar.
Well, you just explained my equation, Arwen. You
I
basically
don't need
just
to explain your
my
equation.
No, that's what you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you
I
did.
explained the workings of centrifugal force.
F
I
equals
told you
R
that
omega
centrifugal
M. If
force
you increase R,
increases
you
strength
increase F.
when it goes away from the actual rotation point. That's what I explained. And that is when the Earth is spinning, eventually, the higher up you go, the stronger the centrifugal force will become on the entire mass, including the gas that is rotating around that axis. While the gravity force that you assume is caused by gravitational pull will actually decrease the further away from the central mass you go. Otherwise, your
Not by much,
precious
Arwen.
satellites would not be able to float up there, would they? So
That's funny. I
your
just saw it the
model
other day.
falls apart at the seams once again.
You got
Like
only
all-
about 0.001% of society thinks that falls apart.
So what? Argument ad populum. Who cares what 1% of anybody thinks? He's just debunked you based on your own nonsense. And now you're just going to an argument of how many people believe your bullshit. So what? Nobody cares how many people believe it.
Excuse me. Why not? Why not? When if it's logically based, if 99.99% of people can follow the logic,
it's not logically based. It's a fairy tale, and it doesn't work
guys
when
try
you
to argue
actually
straw man
start
out.
to apply physics. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me.
Yeah, you're excused.
Stupid cats. Good lord. One second.
Because an opinion is because an opinion is popular doesn't make it true. There's 600 million Roman Catholics in the world that believe that the Pope is the vicar of Christ. It doesn't make it true.
Yeah, but they're not using logic though. They're not using
No,
logic,
they're not using
though.
logic. And are you using logic?
Well,
I
yeah,
don't.
of course I'm using logic.
I don't feel
Despite me
movement.
just debunking your logic.
I don't
You
feel
just
movement.
I just
my
applied
equation, Arwen.
regular, measurable, confirmable forces and how they function on your theoretical model and shows you why it can't work. And you're just ignoring it
Just
because you
explained
believe
my
your
equation,
consensus. You
Arwen.
know, you're logical. You don't actually apply your logic. You just keep it in the field of theory and don't think about the consequences. But you're logical and everybody
it's
believes
three
what you're
variables.
saying. So you're right. Yeah.
I was going to present the experiment live on the show to show you guys that this
Please
is
go ahead.
legit. And
You already went through it. It's not an experiment, right? And it doesn't prove anything. You're just going to apply the results
doesn't
to the
prove
ball.
anything.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it would. It would prove that the equation for centrifugal force is correct.
Nobody disputes that. But you're going to arbitrarily apply that to an Earth with a radius value that you've got an assumption for, so it's meaningless. We already went through this on another show. So what? Nobody disagrees that you can calculate centrifugal force.
Yeah, but I want to debunk your guys' argument. I'm debunking your argument.
And what is the argument that you're debunking?
So you're going to
The
debunk
flat Earth argument that if the Earth was
becomes
spinning, then the
stronger
gases would be, the
away
heavier
from
gases would be higher up. Hold on, let
You're
me
gonna
answer
debunk
your
that?
question.
Are you going to
Hold on, let me answer
debunk
his
my
question.
argument? Are
Hold
you
on,
going to debunk?
let me answer his question. What was your name? Who's the guy that was just speaking? Ask me what argument I'm debunking is.
Yeah, I
Mark,
wasn't.
Mark,
I wasn't.
okay, Mark, let me answer Mark's question. Mark, the argument that I'm debunking is the flat Earth argument that if the Earth was in fact spinning, then all the heavier gases would be at the top of the atmosphere.
You're talking to the wrong person because I wasn't.
No, that was
involved
me.
in
That was me. I'm interested. Go on. What was that? Why? How are we going to debunk that?
Well, I was going to show that the centrifugal force is so negligible, that it's so small on a rotating body that rotates at 24 hours in one day. You know, one revolution per 24 hours.
Right. So
like if you're on a merry-go-round, it was going around once every 24 hours.
Wait. In your calculations, are you going to consider and take into account the tangential speed or the rim velocity?
No, you don't need to. You just need omega, which is the angular.
No. You do need to. Why would you not?
No, you don't.
Why would you not take into account the rim velocity?
Because you don't have to.
You need to know how fast the object is moving on the tangential speed. Otherwise, you can't.
That's where the radius comes in. You can substitute. You can substitute in the tangential velocity, or you can substitute back in the angular velocity. Whenever you
do it with the tangential
velocity, you get R.
Do it with the tangential, and let's see what value you get. Because the only value you should get is 10, 24 miles an hour at the equator.
Whenever you do it with that tangential, then you have to divide by the radius, which is a really large number. So you get a small number.
Let's see your maths, and let's see what you come out with, and let's see what your formulation is, and then ultimately Nathan will just say prove R, regardless of what you come out with.
Well, I'm just trying to debunk one of y'all's arguments. So you're not arguing against a straw man. So you can argue.
No, we're not arguing. Listen, the idea is that there is you guys claim and believe that there is a rotation of the planet. If there was a rotation of the planet, because of its radius, it creates a rim velocity, a tangential speed, correct?
Yes.
And that, therefore, doesn't affect us, apparently, but because our mass is much heavier than the gas, it will affect the gas, because the gas is much lighter. So the gas will be directly affected by it and should invert in the atmosphere. We should see the densest gas at the top, and we should see the lightest gas at the bottom because of the centrifuge that you guys believe is there.
Well, I could show that. I could do it in relationship to like a cubed meter of gas. I could show what the actual centrifugal force is on like a cubed meter of gas. I could look at in that light. I've been trying to put this together.
Use a centrifuge.
It's not just gas; it's all mass in rotation.
Do what now? Say that again.
I said it's not just gas; it's all mass under acceleration. So you have to calculate the acceleration acting on all the mass of everything in rotation. So go for it.
The mass caught.
No, you're just looking at like a massive body. You're isolating one thing, like me or a cube meter of gas. Or
it's an open system of mass and rotation, including the water, the gas, and everything.
Yeah, I'm not doing a summation of the entire Earth system. I'm just looking at one isolated thing.
Why not?
On the Earth,
Your claim is that that's what Earth is doing.
Do what?
Your claim is that that is what Earth is doing.
Yeah.
So why aren't you going to prove that that's what Earth is doing?
Force in relationship to the Earth's rotation.
This is what I said earlier. You've come along with something that nobody disputes. Yeah, that we have.
You guys dispute it.
We dispute it in relation to Earth, not as a singular concept isolated from anything to do with Earth. You're saying that this translates to Earth, and when we say, "Are you going to show it in relation to Earth?" you say, "No, I'll just show you an isolated experiment," which isn't an experiment.
Well, I'm going to use the rotation rate of Earth.
What rotation rate?
The given scientific model, right?
Oh, so you're just going to use R, right? You're just going to assume the radius and assume everything about it.
I'll use little r, big R, medium R, super big R, just to show that it really doesn't matter because that's such a small rotational rate.
Because you're an R-tard.
You're an idiot. You have an assumption of an R value, yeah? And you're just going to apply that arbitrarily to Earth, like it means that that's true. And it doesn't. You need to actually validate that R value. If you're going to start telling us to do experiments and you already have an R value, then you've already got a sphere, haven't you? There's your proof. You've got R.
No, I got an R from presupposing it was a square or an octagon or a tetrahedron or a triangle. That's how I got an R value.
Nathan, I've just realized why this guy's got an issue. He doesn't realize that we're using the very point that he's trying to prove, centrifugal force, we're using that to prove that it doesn't exist. I.e., we don't see anything that's affected by the centrifugal force, and it's supposed to be there. So we're not disputing that it's a thing. We're disputing it doesn't apply to Earth because it's not there. Right. Wouldn't you be better focusing on something to prove that there is a centrifugal force in the Earth?
No, you're saying there's certain phenomena we should see if the Earth is in fact a spinning globe and centrifugal force exists. One of those phenomena.
No, nobody's disputing that centrifugal force exists. What Anthony is saying that it's demonstratable that if you have a centrifugal force, things get centrifuged to the outside, especially light particles like vapor. So Therefore, logic would dictate that if you have a centrifugal force operating itself and its forces on a gas, that we would have the same effect if the Earth was in fact doing that. That is your assertion that is being debunked by what we actually see when we put things in a centrifuge.
You're arguing against a straw man. I'm trying to get you.
No, we're not. We're arguing against nonsense. You claim the Earth is spinning. Prove it.
Well, I can do the Foucault pendulum. You want me to do the Foucault pendulum experiment on the show?
It's not an experiment. How many times have we got to have this crap come on for us to say that it's not an experiment and it proves nothing?
Do it in relation to, listen, do it in relation to a centrifugal force that has to be there by virtue of it spinning. You prove with a centrifugal force illustration how there is a centrifugal force on the Earth.
Well, I mean, it's the same. Like if you had, you know, a little bit about space, right? If you had like a spaceship in space, the way that you get fake gravity is you rotate it. So the effect of a rotating object is the exact same effect that gravity has. It's an acceleration. So you can't distinguish between one acceleration or the other acceleration. You just add them up and you get they add up and you get the end value. So, but I can show that the centrifugal force, if the Earth was spinning at 24 hours per day and the radius is what it is,
there's where you beg the question. Where you insert that's a formal logical fallacy. Yeah? If P, then Q, Q, then P, that's what you're doing.
I'm showing that there's nothing wrong
with
the
model,
You're not
showing anything to do with Earth. How many times have I got to say it? Just asserting that if the Earth is a sphere, that's where you beg the question.
You see, you're still arguing against a straw man.
I'm not arguing against a straw man. Why? What is it with you? Have you guys on the globe side just learnt this term straw man recently and now apply it to absolutely everything? No. Wrong. What you're doing is a formological fallacy. Simple. Right? I don't get why when you've come on the show dozens of times and we point it out every time you do it, you still don't get it.
Because all I hear is a straw man.
It's not a straw man. You are making an assumption. If the Earth is a sphere, then, as soon as you do that, you already have the presupposition that you're on a sphere. Then you demonstrate an effect of something completely unrelated and relate it back to the Earth.
What if I logically deduce the Earth is a sphere? Does that work?
No. You have to provide scientific evidence and prove it, my friend. You don't just make...
I saw a live stream from the ISS last night that showed an R value. It looked pretty good.
Hey, Chris Berry, how you doing? Can you hear us? Hello.
So the live stream doesn't prove it from the ISS?
That's your cue to shut up. Chris, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good to have you.
Good to be here.
I saw Father Christmas flying over New York City.
Chris was just flying over New York City?
Hey, unorthodox. So the thing is true. You're not claiming this, you're not claiming that. The issue is that you are believing it, you have no proof, and you're defending it. Why are you defending it?
What do you mean I don't have any proof? There's thousands of images from space, there's satellites. I have friends who work for NASA, satellite companies.
Can you prove you got any friends that work for NASA?
In the past, I mean, yeah.
Go on then.
You've already fallen.
Here? I mean, I don't know.
Prove that you got a friend that works for NASA.
Well, I'll work on that. Yeah, I'll bring him on the show or something.
You were bluffing, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably once removed. You know, it's not like my direct friend. It's somebody I know that they know. You know what I mean?
You sound like you're a liar, just like before.
No, I mean,
you're an engineer. You don't have any friends at NASA. I don't think you really speak the truth about anything.
People that have worked for NASA.
I think you're a deceptive.
You claimed that you had a friend that did.
Well, I used the wrong word. What's the word? Not a friend, but
liar.
It's called bluffing.
Somebody you've heard of.
I'd say
that you imagine is your friend.
So come on,
no, I don't imagine him as my friend. Just an acquaintance. An acquaintance. There we go.
The globe. So I think you can imagine all kinds of friends.
There we go. There's my. So let me ask you: if I bring this acquaintance on, and he tells you that they do in fact create satellites and shoot them up to space, are you gonna believe him?
What we'll accept is if you get him on your Facebook friends list and show us that guy on your Facebook friends list and it says employed by NASA. That's what we'll accept. Can you do that now?
No, what do you want? I don't think I have my Facebook.
I don't think you've got a friend that works
an acquaintance.
And even an acquaintance, is he on your Facebook friends list?
I don't know. I don't really get on Facebook, dude.
Really? How convenient.
I don't get on Facebook.
How convenient.
You
How
said you had
convenient.
a
What's
friend
the point of am I a 40-year-old woman? Do you get on Facebook?
You said you had a friend that works for NASA. Now you're backtracking, aren't you?
I've ran into people throughout my life who are acquaintances who projected to me that they work for NASA. I have no reason to disbelieve them. Now, if you want me to try and reach out and get one of them on your show, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Do that.
Let's just say that I do that, and I bring them on here. What are you guys going to believe what they say?
Bring them on and let's have a chat with them.
Well, probably.
You're not just going to dismiss everything they say.
Not at all. Depends what they tell us.
Bring them on.
Depends what they say.
Like Scott M. Beach, like you dismiss everything he says, right?
Well, he told us that his daddy told him that his daddy told him that he went to space while he had his mates that were also claimed spacemen.
Okay, here we go. So it really doesn't matter, does it?
No, that's what he...
Called hearsay.
Is he your friend?
You guys are arguing
satellites that you can see with your naked eye, Sleeping Warrior. That's not hearsay.
No, you can't prove they're a satellite. The only thing that you can deduce from your own eyesight is that you see a light. That's it.
No, you can clearly distinguish an object like that mirrors what they say the ISS is in a transit across the moon.
So are we talking about satellites generally?
Point something at signals, right?
Hang on, are we talking about satellites generally, or because you did say satellites? Now you're talking specifically about the ISS.
Well, the ISS is a satellite.
Right, so we're talking about the ISS specifically. I agree. I've got photos of the ISS myself, and it does conform to what they tell me it looks like. I agree. Does it mean it's got people on it?
Why couldn't it have people on it? It's up there.
Does it mean it's got people on it?
I mean, no, not necessarily just looking at it, but that and the fact they have live streams and videos and all this other crap means it does.
Really? Are you sure?
I still don't, I still don't understand why. There's really no point to lie about this. That's the thing that I come back to almost every day. There's no breaking point.
Money, power, control. There's three good reasons.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. So if tomorrow it was proven the Earth was flat, how would that change the world?
Well, NASA would be gone straight away, wouldn't he?
Well, no, people would still want to explore the outer edges, so probably not.
So yeah, let's get the people who lied through their back teeth about what the outer edges were up until now. Let's get them to lead the charge. Hooray for NASA! Yay! Let's all give them loads more money. Right, I don't think so, unorthodox. I think there'd be an uproar.
Well, you're probably right. They probably would get rid of NASA, and they would get something that resembled NASA in its functionality. So if they want all the money, how come SpaceX? How come they're bringing SpaceX in and giving them money? You think they'd want to hoard it for themselves, right?
Probably because they're getting too much flack themselves.
That goes directly against your conspiracy theory. It's like at 180 degrees. That's in direct opposition to your theory.
They're adding somebody else to it to deflect the blame away from them. I mean, let's put it this way. Elon Musk, right? SpaceX, he said, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake. Why would he use them words?
Because it's a rare image. He's trying to assert the fact that it's a rare image.
So you don't think there's anything suspicious about the wording that he uses, no?
No, he's just being 100% legitimate. It's a rare image. It looks fake because most of the images you see from that far out, the only satellite that we know of, there's the one Marble shot, and then the Himawari 8. Other than that, you really don't get pictures of the Earth from that far away.
So let me guess. You believe that Starman is real because you've got no reason to suggest that it might not be, right?
Exactly. I saw the live stream. I saw the thousands of people on the ground all watching the SpaceX rocket go up, concurrently watching the live feed on their phones.
You are a
millennial. Watching the rocket go up.
You are a millennial.
I'm 32 years old, so
yeah,
I think
exactly.
Right.
You're a millennial. What year were you born?
85.
What? 85?
85, yeah.
Oh, well, you're an old millennial then.
Yeah, I'm on the upper end.
You're one of those happy clappers you're one of those happy clappers that when they get a rocket launch that they believe is like, or whatever's going on, and they all start cheering and congratulating each other as though they just scored a World Cup goal, right? That's what you are, right? You and Reds, best mates.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, it's fascinating to me that our technology is so advanced that we have a vein of people like you guys denying that it even exists or it's even possible.
Good job, man. I feel all motivated now when I speak to you.
Have you never seen the rockets landing, like the dual boosters? They come back to Earth and they flip around and then they kind of settle themselves. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I've seen them. Thunderbirds,
that's all it is.
I went to work the day after. The car was in quote unquote sent to space by Elon Musk. And I asked one of my coworkers, I think he's 21 now or 22. And I asked, hey, dude, what do you think about that? Did you see that space thing that happened yesterday? Elon Musk, you know what his answer was? Quote unquote, bro, he's Elon fucking Musk, dude. And I just walk away.
I mean, okay, just at face value, right? He's got a car company. He's got a rocket company now that's going to take over part of NASA or take over, flights for them. On face value, he's doing some pretty incredible stuff. He's a self-made millionaire. He made PayPal. He sold it.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great story. And there's really no reason, like I said, there's really no reason to believe that didn't happen. There's no logical conspiracy theory that I've heard of. I can go with you on other conspiracies, but the flat earth, I can't go with you because it doesn't make any sense. I haven't heard any good arguments. All I've heard is straw men, lies, and shitty arguments.
No worries. Let's just ask you a quick question. What's your scientific evidence of the value that you use to presuppose the earth is a sphere when they give you trajectories and earth rotation? What's your scientific evidence of the R used in all the mathematics?
You want my scientific evidence? My scientific evidence of the R value they use. That seems kind of odd.
So don't you use it?
So this is a debate about whether or not the Earth is a sphere, and you have a value that says it's a sphere. I'm asking for the scientific evidence of that value, and you think that's odd.
Oh, you're just saying all these people are doing this stuff. You give me the evidence they have. Well, if you prove gravity, that dictates that the Earth has to be a sphere. And the horizon, you can get the math out of the horizon.
Who is it that's got the onus of proof?
Hold on, Anthony. Hold on.
You guys
Sorry,
are making
hold on. I've asked you a very direct question. You haven't answered it. So I'm going to ask it again. Hopefully you won't talk over me. Right?
Go ahead.
What is your scientific evidence for the value of R?
I don't need scientific evidence. All I need is to see a satellite, Nathan, or see live streams of the ISS, or see the thousands of pictures from space, or the thousands of images of the globe.
Sorry, that doesn't answer my question. So was your answer you don't need scientific evidence?
No, I don't need it for the R value.
Okay,
no.
So while you're telling us that we've got nothing but strawmans and no good arguments, you are basically accepting a presupposition that it's a sphere. So somebody somewhere assumes it's a sphere, tells you the value, and gives it you in the mathematics, and you're happy to say, I don't need any scientific evidence of this, right?
No.
Okay, well, if no is your answer, then that's fine. You accept the presupposition of R and the fantasies that go along with it because you have TV pictures, and we will say we would prefer that it was actually scientifically validated rather than just assumed. But
no, you wouldn't have proved gravity on your show
twice. You can tell me all about gravity, something that needs R. Yeah, you can go one step further down this begging the question fallacy and start telling me about other things that require the presupposition of R, but you haven't got any scientific evidence of R. So you can tell me my argument's crap, but your argument is based... Well, you can tell me that all you like.
Okay, I answered your question. You answered my question. So if I punch you in the face...
Sorry, your answer was I don't need scientific evidence. So you didn't give me scientific evidence of the R value that your religion is based on. That's what your religion's based on.
Answer my question, Nathan.
Sorry, I'm just going to harp on about R because that's the crux of this debate. Whether or not the Earth is a sphere, you're saying it is a sphere because I say it is, I've got an R value. It's been given to me and I've got pictures from space. And I say, well, what's your scientific evidence for it? And you say, I don't need any. I can be content. I've got an assumption. I just assume it's a ball. That's fine. Look, I've got these other proofs that use the same assumption and they confirm the assumption. Therefore, the assumption's correct. Yet you're an idiot.
No, when you have a real world object like a satellite rotating around the globe Earth, you don't need...
Rotating around the globe Earth. So there you go with your presupposition again. So you look at some light in the sky and decide that light is moving because the Earth is turning. That's called a presupposition. You don't get it. You're a dumbass.
No, it's called a logical deduction, Nathan.
Right. I'd rather have scientific evidence. That's why I said, what's your scientific evidence of R? As opposed to, what's your logical deduction that the Earth's a sphere? That's not what I asked, is it?
Presupposition.
I believe.
Right.
A little bit
So, we started this little back and forth unorthodox with you telling me that we had nothing but crap arguments and straw men, right?
You do.
So is the best thing you've got to prove your version of the world just the assumption that it is a ball? That's the best argument.
The best thing I have to prove my world is a physical.
You don't have to prove it. All right, it's not a flat Earth debate. We're not here debating this subject daily for 333 shows. It's not like you need to prove any of this stuff. Just assume
0.03 newtons of acceleration in all directions. Blah 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 blah. Make that work in a computational fluid dynamics experiment. Let me see it.
Oh, really? You know, fluid dynamics? That's one of the harder subjects in all of physics. Fluid dynamics is an absolute mess. It's nasty. Very difficult subject. Probably my worst course in my engineering degree. It was fluid dynamics.
If you believe it's a bendy water somewhere, it's hard for you there.
Yeah,
that's the horizon. That's the bending water.
Water accelerating from the poles towards the equator at a rate of 0.03 newtons per meter per second or whatever. Do it up and let's see how it works.
Yeah, I don't
You're the engineer.
You talking about the centrifugal force?
No, acceleration of the mass due to the inertia on a spinning sphere.
Well, that's called the centrifugal
Computational
force.
fluid dynamics.
Yes.
Not necessarily.
Gravity,
more than one.
Gravity would just cancel it out. I don't need to do a huge model. It's just that gravity is like 100
It
times.
results in a positive 0.03
1,000
newtons of acceleration in all directions, and you have to do it equilaterally and on the vertices and make it work. Well, it's accelerating downward at the poles and outwards at the equator. So do the computational fluid dynamics.
No, I don't have to. There's a horizon that you can't see past. There's your bending water, right?
So you can't do it, is what you're saying, correct?
No, I don't. I'm not sufficiently versed to do a huge computational model of globe Earth. You're right. I'm not. That would take me quite a while, and maybe I need a few more engineers. I don't think I'm capable of doing that by myself and making it proper. Now, if you want a super simplification of the whole globe Earth, maybe I could do that.
Nah, you're all right.
So isn't the horizon bendy water?
What are you talking about?
Well,
You've just been absolutely obliterated with like 3 sentences from Chris. Now you want to talk about the horizon. I'd rather we all revel in your humiliation. That's much more amusing.
Well, I can't hear with both of you guys talking over each other.
Yeah. You've just been taken
But the
to
other guy
pieces.
makes some arguments, Nate.
You're
You talk
talking
too
again.
much.
You said you couldn't hear, so I'm repeating what I said. Yeah, Chris has just
go ahead.
Chris has just ripped you to pieces. Yeah, now you're talking
Rip
about
me
the
to
horizon,
pieces.
and I would prefer to just revel in your humiliation for a bit. Is that okay with you?
I didn't realize, I'm so humiliated. I didn't realize I was being humiliated.
All right, maybe Chris needs to go through it again with you.
Can I make a point from the sidelines here?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
From what I'm saying, from listening to the show, that a lot of things happen is that once you assume something and you don't prove it and you just keep on moving past it, well, everything after that is like building a house on sand. Because if you don't have a foundation, then everything else doesn't mean anything. So all the satellites, the people that work at NASA, all of that stuff means nothing if you don't have a foundation. Now, it appears that this radius value is really important, but everybody wants to keep skipping past that.
Yep.
Why not just explain what the scientific evidence for the R value is, so that moving forward, we're not building houses on sand like Big Bangs and evolution. See, that's what happens.
Nathan won't accept it.
Well,
Can
I just say as well that answer there that was just given is the reason why we stay on the main 3 topics, because if you can't get past those main 3 topics, at least one of them 3 main topics, then all of the other topics that are based on those 3 topics fall. So it's a little bit limited in terms of the show, but that's why we don't move into things that we don't know what we're talking about, like, I don't know, quantum mechanics, for example, or anything that's really niche. We don't need to know all that. We just want to see the proof of R, proof of curve, proof of gravity, axial rotation, and we don't really need to go beyond that until it's produced evidence to prove the point. And if it isn't there, sorry, guys, that's where we stop.
You guys won't accept it because it uses the horizon. I could use the horizon to show.
The horizon. That's official horizon.
Guys, let me finish my point. You kind of cut me off in there.
Yeah, I want to make a counterpoint to your point after you're done.
That's fine. So basically what I'm saying is, from what I'm seeing, you guys really need to stop bypassing stuff and just saying, well, I don't need that. because I see a satellite in the sky, so I don't need to prove the foundation. You have to have a foundation. Without it, you have nothing else. So everything else that you're claiming beyond that foundation is absolutely useless. That's why I understand why these guys stay on track and won't let you guys get off track. But you keep on getting off track with all this other stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with the question. How did you come up with the R value? That's the only question there is. All the rest of it means nothing.
No, the fact that there's satellites in orbit and the foundation.
No, literally, you're going to circle jerk him around. He's literally ended his point saying that you have to prove the foundation. Yeah, satellites have got a trajectory. Gravity requires R. All these things are built on a foundation, the same foundation that he's just pointed out to you, that you can't just expand upon and use as proof. And all you've done is circle jerk back to the satellite nonsense.
Yeah, the foundation was done to get the satellite into orbit.
Right. So you need to prove that assumption. So you've sent satellites up with an assumption of a globe Earth, and you think that proves it. And no. You've already got the proof in the R value. That's why we're asking for proof of that. The foundation, the bit you assume.
It's not assumed because the foundation was done in preparation to get the satellite into orbit. They did all that scientific stuff, and they did
Excellent. Tell us what scientific stuff, right? That technical term of scientific stuff as opposed to scientific experimentation. Tell us what scientific stuff they did to give you R.
Well, if you have gravity, you know R.
Oh, here we go. So gravity, I've just said it requires R also, doesn't it, Dick Brain? Hello? Yeah, it's based on the same foundation. Hello? Did you not listen to a word that guy just said?
No.
Yeah, I'm rebutting his argument.
No, you're not. You're using the presupposition to rebut an argument about having an assumed value of R. That's not.
So how'd they get the satellite up there, Nathan? They got the satellite up there without figuring out what
That's the
R
point.
was?
Your entire world collapses based on that.
And you bought it.
You can see the ISS, Arwen.
Yeah, you flail telling us about what you can see. Yeah, they got it up using an assumed value of R. Where'd you get the R from? I don't need it.
It doesn't matter that
it doesn't matter. What a perfectly predictable response. It doesn't matter that we assume it. Who cares? It doesn't matter. We'll assume anything we like, right? I can assume R. It doesn't matter. They'll just assume it's a globe, right?
No, they didn't assume it. They logically deduced it and put a satellite up in orbit due to that value.
Yeah, I call that pie in the sky. Pie in the sky, because once you
that
assume
value was wrong,
it's a ratio to its
satellite
radius.
would
You
be
get
crashing.
pie in the sky.
Well, let me ask the guy who made the point. What's his name? The guy that made the point I'm referring to?
Slick James.
Flick James?
Yeah.
Slick James. Okay, Slick James. So you're saying go back and do all the foundational stuff that they did in order to get the satellite up there in the first place. Why do we need to go back and re-prove what's already been proven if the satellite's already up there?
Prove. Okay. Do you even know how they came to
let the guy answer.
Let me answer the question. The thing is that you don't have to go back and do anything. All you have to do is explain what it was that gave you that value so that we can understand on the other side of the debate what gave you the possibility of putting the satellite up there in the first place. If all you do is move past it, then you leave us without any understanding. So when you're giving us all this other stuff, we're still sitting here in limbo because we don't know where you got the R from in the first place. So if it's okay for you to move past it, the problem is it's not okay for us to move past it. We're the ones that can't get past it. You can, but we can't. So you saying that we don't need it, the argument is over because we need it. And if you don't have it, we have a problem.
Well, we can get it. There's plenty of people who've presented it on the show. Nathan didn't accept it.
Tell us what you got. What you got? Let's go through it.
You know the two sticks, right? The two wells, the angle of the shadow.
Sticks.
And the two wells, or the two sticks, the angle of the shadow of the sticks.
Yeah, we know everything about it.
So you know all that, right?
Yeah, shadows are relative to the angle of the incoming light. So what's your next move?
Doing back around, sticks on the ground, balls
in it in the second way. You prove it in the second way to see if it lines up with the first way. And the way you can do it a second time is you can use the horizon and make a circle, get on a tall building, measure the angle to the horizon, draw a right angle to the bottom of the building, and then you can get an R value out of that.
Congratulations, you just got you just figured out how the angular relations of the daylight works in relation to time and the position on the Earth. It's really nice. So how does that prove R?
Well, because the two experiments match.
So how does that prove R?
What you? I mean, I'd have to draw a diagram.
No,
you know, and you have to do a little bit of trigonometry.
Tell us how it proves R.
Because trigonometry is true.
So what are you applying the trigonometry to?
To the Earth, right?
What shape is the Earth? What shape is the Earth that you're applying?
To the angle of the light relative to the shadows on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, you relate it to a circle. You relate it to a circle, and you can get an R value out of that.
So
you also can do it, like I said, from the angle of the horizon.
You get R.
You can't get an R value if you assume it's an octagon, Nathan.
Right, so you assume it's a sphere to get your R value, right? There's a lot of assuming it's a sphere going on here. It seems very bizarre that when we ask for scientific evidence, you explain that the first thing you do, the first step, is to assume it's a sphere, right?
No, logically deduce the shape of the Earth.
Logically deduce. Right, so your scientific evidence starts with a logical deduction. A man says, I logically deduce this is a sphere. Let's start measuring stuff.
Yeah.
That's not scientific evidence of anything now, is it, Dick Brain? Hello? Yeah, do you understand why we've got an issue with this? Man with sticks in the ground makes logical deductions and says it's a sphere. Yeah? From that point, alarm bells should be going off. But they're not. You're saying, well, we've got satellites and they use that value. Really? Well, that should also set off alarm bells, but it doesn't. For you, it's
How
proof.
should that set off alarm bells?
Yeah.
It should set off alarm bells for you, dude.
Oh, right. Sorry, my bad. I should just accept some guy with sticks and shadows and his logical deduction, should I?
No, you accept the object that you can see with your own eyes, Nathan. The satellite.
The object that used that value to get into orbit. I should accept that the orbit used to get it up there, what you claim is rotating around a sphere Earth, the scientific evidence isn't scientific. It's a guy saying, if the Earth is a sphere, just like you do.
And you logically deduce the shape of the Earth, and then...
That's not what I asked. How many times have I got to say we haven't got any scientific evidence for it for you to reply with you logically deduce that it's a sphere? I couldn't give a crap.
You can't see past
what
7
you
miles on the
or
ocean
Mr.
surface,
Sticks
Nathan.
in the ground logically deduced. I'm not interested in logical deductions when I ask for scientific evidence.
You won't. People will try to present before you stopped.
You just told me that. You said people tried to present it. I asked what you got. Then you told me about sticks in the ground and shadows and logical deductions, didn't you?
Yeah, logical deductions.
Right, so not scientific evidence.
No physical measurements.
No, you don't need scientific evidence to prove everything on the face of the Earth, Nathan.
Oh, really? So even though people come on this panel and tell us that the whole body of science is behind this, you don't need scientific evidence now, right? What's next? Telling me that science doesn't prove anything? Go for that.
Yeah, I can logically deduce that you're an idiot. Unorthodox.
Okay, yeah, you think rockets...
So that's my scientific...
Rockets can't fly in space, yet that's the oldest known mathematical physics equation on the face of the planet. F equal ma doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Rockets don't exist. There's a container on the Earth. I'm the idiot.
Rockets exist, but they don't go into space. They just arc around and then they go into the ocean. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I'm the idiot.
Sure. No pressure, no pressure, no
major things going on in your head there, buddy.
You can't build a house on a foundation that you guessed at. It won't
No,
work.
you can't. Exactly. That's my point with the satellite.
Right. So that's the thing. See, but what you're saying is there is these satellites on a foundation that doesn't work. So therefore the foundation doesn't need to work.
Do what now? No, I'm saying the foundation does work. That's why the satellite stays up.
No. What you're saying is the satellite is up there, so I don't need the foundation to work, because we're trying to ask you, how does your foundation work? And you're saying the satellite is up there, so therefore the foundation works. So therefore, how does the satellite prove the foundation works? That makes no sense. That's like looking at a chimney and proving that the house is not built on sand.
No, that's like looking at a chimney.
Is suspending his house by his satellite, and that is his foundation.
No, if you have a house that's
on a
built
satellite
that's physically there in the real world, you know that the steps used to build it are true because it's there.
No, you don't. It's an affirming the consequent. It's a formal logical fallacy. If I see dots in the sky, then the Earth is a sphere. I see dots in the sky, therefore the Earth is a sphere.
You see dots in the sky. It's all an illusion anyway, so
you're saying
I mean, we live in a simulation, so I don't really know what we're doing.
Solipsism.
Solipsism.
Nice, isn't it?
If I did an experiment to prove that rockets can have propulsion in a vacuum, would you change your position? If I do an experiment to show that rockets actually have propulsion in a vacuum,
show us a rocket entering space and then returning from space.
What? See, there we go again. We're off into something else when all we are asking is what is the foundation of the R value.
I just told you guys you could do it with the sticks, man.
Sticks and shadows, man.
That's not scientific.
No. But he doesn't. That's okay to unorthodox. It doesn't matter. He doesn't want scientists. He doesn't want science.
No,
for this.
you can use the independent variable. You just change your location, and the dependent variable would be the angle of the shadows.
Be a deduction.
You've already decided that those.
That's how we work in the real world. We're human beings.
That's not how you get scientific proof.
Unorthodox. Let me ask you a question real quick, okay?
Okay.
All right. Let's go back to your explanation of angles and shadows. If you simply do the straight trigonometry of measuring the distance to the horizon, if you just do straight trigonometry, what result will you get?
Well, do what now? Answer the question again. If you're on a tall building and you look down at the horizon, what angle will you get?
Don't presume a ball.
Don't say
flat
anything.
Disc
Don't
instead.
say
Where do you end
Arwen? Don't say anything, Arwen. You just gave my joke away, man.
Oh, sorry. I was.
You guys like jokes? Oh,
No,
man, I guess
unorthodox.
You're a joke.
Seriously,
We don't like you.
seriously, unorthodox.
Yes,
I'm asking you simply to practically apply what you just said about measuring distance and horizon. Just do that with straight trigonometry and give me your answer.
I don't know exactly what you're getting at. I don't know exactly what you want me to do.
Yeah, we did this show like maybe 2-3 weeks ago about the Muslim scientist.
Yeah, there you go. That's the guy.
Right. Yeah. Do it without assuming the center of the Earth, and tell me what you get.
Well, you want me to assume it's a tetrahedron or a triangle or a square?
No,
or an
I just
octagon?
want you to do trigonometry. Just do trigonometry.
Well, I don't have
Get your
that set
3
up right
points.
now. I can do it and present it on the next show.
Yeah, get 3 points and come back to us.
Okay, I will. I would like to ask y'all this about the container argument with the Earth and the pressure. So if the Earth is contained, if there's a lid on the Earth, and we drill out millions and millions and millions of gallons of petroleum, and then we set that petroleum on fire in our cars, and we produce billions and billions and billions of tons of CO2 each year. How come the pressure isn't increasing? Right? So you would
because when you combust something, it actually burns up oxygen, dumbass.
You can't burn anything, Arwen.
Yeah,
no man is
it's a
created to
chemical
destroy it.
reaction.
It's still
One
there.
set of components is transformed into another set of components, including.
Yeah, you're
carbon.
taking something that's liquid and turning
burn
it
anything? What does that mean?
Carbon.
You're
Smoke.
taking something that's liquid and turning it into a gas, Arwen.
What do you mean by you can't burn anything? You just said you can't burn anything. What are you talking about?
No, he said you destroy the oxygen. I'm saying no, you can't destroy oxygen.
The question
Didn't say destroy.
The question is, does that explain what the R value is? That explanation that you just gave, does that explain the R value? So
I told you I don't have that ready to present at the moment, so there's really no
point. The thing is, there's no point in going any farther because if
Right,
you don't have that,
well, this doesn't. We're not talking about an R value anymore. I'm
Okay, then our
Yeah.
conversation is over.
Just for the audience's benefit, right? I'll shut up the hangout just for a second. We are definitely talking about the R value because that presupposition of an R value is where you've just claimed that this guy got R from. So he automatically assumed that it was a radius that he was going for. He automatically assumed the Earth was a sphere, then he came out with his radius value. That was the plain truth's point. In other words, if you do the plain trig, you come out with a different result. You only come out with the result that you want, the spherical result, if you assume the sphere to begin with, which is exactly what they did. Sticks and Shadows assumes a sphere.
No, you logically deduced it, Nathan.
No, you assumed it. That's what they did 2,000 years ago. No science involved. They just assumed. That was the starting point. The starting point was assume we're on a sphere.
I agree.
No, logically deduced we're on a sphere.
Okay, unorthodox, fine. Then do the math, get your 3 points, do the math, and show us how you logically infer from your solution the circumference, the radius.
The radius.
Okay.
Well, if you have to present my screen, I've got the guy's experiment on here.
No, we've already done that. We want you to do it. You do it.
You want me to sit here and do calculations on the show?
Not really. We don't really want you to come back, really, because you keep bringing up the same stuff and then side railing with misdirection and air pressure when we want you to focus on your assumption.
Well, we're not. Well, there's no more points to be made on this topic. I don't know why we're hammering it to death. I'd like to move on to something else.
I'm sure you would love to move past R. Yeah. Again, you don't seem to be listening. That's our point. You just want to accept it and move on, and then claim everything with that as your foundation as proof of the foundation.
Air pressure. That has nothing on the foundation of R.
Right. Yeah. You assume that you've got a sphere that air is attached to, don't you?
Yes, Nathan, that's totally exactly what we're talking about. In relationship to the air pressure, the sticking point is the R value of the radius.
Well, that's what you've got. It spins, right?
Yeah, I can show you the Foucault's pendulum. I could do that experiment on the show.
No. The Foucault pendulum's not an experiment and proves nothing.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. So why are you giving us this circle jerk routine? Yeah, I agree with plain truth. I'm sick of having you here. You just come back with the same arguments, and we debunk them every time.
I'm trying to move on to something else, a new argument, and you guys won't let me.
Yeah, because the whole point of this is a flat Earth debate. And you're saying, no, not flat Earth, radius. And we go, really? Why? Well, because I say so. Let's move past this.
No, because of Al Bruni's scientific experiment, and also...
Al Bruni assumed it was a sphere. We just went through this. So, what is your malfunction? We just went through this 2 minutes ago.
Well, that's all
you
I
have
have, Nathan. So
you have a malfunction.
Same thing over and over again.
You have a malfunction. Okay?
What's my malfunction?
You just brought up Balruni again. Why don't you tell us what our problem with Balruni is? What is it?
Because that you have to first logically deduce the shape that you're on to then calculate it.
Right. So basically what you're saying is you already assume you're on a sphere. Or Al-Biruni did. He logically deduced rather than just using the word assume. You obviously don't like the word assume. Yeah. So he made a logical deduction. Right?
Yes.
Right. That's not acceptable when we're asking for scientific evidence of things. What this guy logically deduced, I couldn't give a crap about. What he logically deduced was it's a sphere. And from that presupposition, he started measuring things.
Yes.
Well, that's the foundation of your argument. A presupposition, an assumption, a logical deduction.
Well, that's the sticking point. You guys don't believe it's a logical deduction. And
it is a logical deduction. You've just told us it was. We call it an assumption that you're on a sphere. So your entire religion is based on Al-Biruni's assumption, is it? Oh, well, that's wonderful for you. You can tell us that we need to move on. We can say you've all got a religious belief. And according to this dick, it's based on Al-Biruni's assumption that he was on a sphere.
Unorthodox. Again, I'm going to just simply bring you back, okay? You like this stuff. You like to think about it. You like to talk about it. Go out, find 3 points, do straight trigonometry, and come back to us. We should be done. Let's move on. Don't bring up gas pressure. Don't bring up Foucault pendulum. We want you to do the trig and come back to us.
You're not going to accept it.
Okay, listen. Okay, hold on. Stop. No, everybody, just stop. Everybody stop, okay? You're like talking to my 8-year-old when he says, Dad, you're not listening to me. And I said, no, I am listening to you, and I have assessed your explanation as invalid. That doesn't mean we just don't accept it. We're arguing with you about your presentation and saying it is invalid. Don't cry when we show that it's invalid. Now, don't assume that we're going to do that. Hold on. Now, don't borrow trouble by saying we're just going to cross our arms and reject it. Go do it. Come back. And there's some of us who are honest will say, wow, you just proved it. I'm now back on the globe side.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm not going to waste my time, dude.
Okay, then stop wasting hours. Stop wasting hours.
Yeah, just go in your belief. Be content in your belief in R. That somebody assumed it for you at some point and then told you and based everything else on it. Just be happy in your belief. Accept your religion.
It's not a religion, Nathan.
Yeah, it's based on an assumption. It's based on a belief. You just believe Al-Biruni when he decided to assume the Earth was a sphere and then start making measurements. You've got a belief.
I don't pray to the altar of globe Earth, Nathan.
Yeah, Hail Helios. Yeah? You've got people who have flung the very ground you stand on around the sun, even though you watch the sun move across the sky. Yeah? That's your religion.
Yes.
That's a belief.
I can prove that the Earth is moving. I can prove that.
We know it's not moving. Wowee, you're a heliocentrist. You think it is moving around the sun, idiot. So what's that going to prove? Our point that it doesn't move. Yeah, we already know. We already know it doesn't move. We already know there's no curve. Yeah, what are you trying to prove? Our point.
No, I'm saying I can prove to you that the Earth is moving.
You just said you can prove it doesn't move.
No, I can prove that the Earth is moving.
How are you going to do that?
You did actually say it wasn't moving. That you could prove it wasn't.
Oh, I misspoke. I can prove that it's moving.
Can I just interject here? You know when you said it was said, why don't you do the trigonometry on the sun and then just do it based on a flat plane, right? Just trig, not presupposing a sphere, just trig.
Well,
do you know why? Do you know why that was said?
Because you guys don't like the next step in the logical deduction.
No, because it's already being done, and we know what the outcome is.
What's the outcome?
Well, maybe that's what you should go and work out.
I'm looking at Al-Biruni's experiment right here. I got a document pulled up that shows his what he did. Pretty ingenious, really. We're standing on the shoulders of giants, guys. Guys just don't like the giants that stood before us.
All right,
yeah, you worship those giants.
Moving, though.
You worship those giants, don't you? You worship Al-Biruni.
He was intellectual giant. Sure. I mean, I don't worship intelligence, but I respect it.
You believe it. You believe him.
Not just him, Nathan. It's everything else. It's the 20 other things.
You believe anybody else that agrees with him.
Other things
you believe anybody that agrees with him.
Science?
Not science. We've firmly established this is definitely not science. How many bloody times? This isn't science, mate. This is an assumption. Logical deductions, yeah? So anybody that agrees with Al-Biruni's logical deduction, you think is God. You think he's an intellectually superior, therefore is right. You believe him. No. You believe him. You believe
I don't see
him.
any reason. I mean, what alternative motive could he have had? And
so now you're questioning his motivation rather than accepting your belief. You have a belief. You believe him.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, so you're telling me it's not a religious faith, it's not a belief system, but you just accept that it's a belief. You just said, sure, I accept what he says on belief, on trust, on faith.
No, because he logically explains it and outlines it.
All right. Well, go down your local church and listen to how they logically explain stuff, and then just tell me how you believe that too.
Experiments. They don't ask you. They don't like you asking questions. Science.
No, they don't.
Oh, really? We've just asked you for your scientific experiment, and you don't have one. Now you're criticizing the church for not having science. Wow, amazing.
But Nathan, he's even wrong about that, because in the church, and I go there, they also tell you how you can prove to yourself that God actually exists. So they do actually do experiments, not scientific experiments, but they do actually make you prove it to yourself.
Well, that's kind of, they're the odd man out.
Yeah, just like your
religion. Exceptions, Arwen.
Just like your religion. No scientific evidence of this stuff. Just belief. That's all you've got, unorthodox. Belief. You believe Al-Biruni. He assumed it was a sphere, and you believe him.
Can I prove the Earth is moving and see what you guys have to say about that proof?
Yeah, it would have to be a sphere, though. We're starting with this. We keep going around this, right? Having it spinning means it's a sphere, doesn't it?
What?
Having it spin means it's a sphere, doesn't it?
No, not necessarily. No.
Oh, right.
No, it's not what I'm going to prove. No.
Why not just prove... I'm sorry. Why
you
not
can prove it relative to mass, inertia?
Hold on. What's his name? He's trying to make a point.
I was just going to say, why not just prove the R value instead? Why all the other things when all we're asking is for?
They don't have that ready right now.
Well, then why keep going? Then why keep? My point is, right. But the thing is, if you're having a debate and your foundation is not there, then what are you debating?
Like I said, the foundation was laid in the satellite that was put up. The foundation has already been done over and over and over again. So
no, it wasn't. They planned the trajectory based on Al-Biruni and his assumption that the Earth was a sphere. Yeah? From there on in, everything's based on that foundation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, you accept that on faith. You accept that because you
But
believe
if they work, Nathan, that proves the foundation.
No, that's called begging the question. You've already assumed your outcome. Then you started making measurements. Then you get other people to confirm the measurements that use the presupposition. That is not proof. That's a begging the question fallacy. How many times?
No.
What do you mean, no? No is not an argument.
Okay, well, I'll make an argument. If you have plans for a building and you then
derivatives
construct the
without
building,
causation,
are you proving the plans that the plans work and the plans are true?
And then you got to show evidence of the foundation of the building. Where was it built? That's what we're asking for.
Where was it built? Like I said, I don't have all that ready to present right now. I could present it, but I've seen people present on your show before, and you just dismiss it. So I don't really see the point.
No, you've presented the same thing other people did, and we dismissed it on the same merits that we dismissed yours on. You presented the same crap. The 2,000-year-old proof of the sphere hasn't changed for 2,000 years. So all you have when you say, I'm not quite ready, well, hold on. We've had this for 2,000 years. You're telling me in 2,000 years there's nothing you can refer to that's better than an assumption? That's the best you've got in 2,000 years.
You guys have had the flat Earth for like 10,000 years, Nathan, and you have absolutely nothing.
What do you mean we have nothing? We make the same measurements. This is the point.
You guys have had the flat Earth model for long before the globe Earth model, and you guys have nothing. You're not listening.
We make the same measurements as you. You add a presuppositional value of R to the same measurements we take. Don't you get it? You're the one with the presupposition and you're saying you've got no proof of your presupposition. Well, your starting point with the measurements is the same as ours, you idiot.
What starting point is the same as yours?
The measurements. When we take measurements to anything we see in the distance, we start with the same measurements as you. You add a presuppositional value of R to the same exact...
we logically deduce it.
No, you insert it. How many times? We do the same as you. We make the same measurements you do. I don't have any presupposition, unless you want to claim that you've got two presuppositions when you insert R.
You have the presuppositional flat Earth.
Yeah, and so do you. You use the same measurements. Yeah? We both do the same thing. You add in R.
Yeah, because we have physical objects in the real world based on that.
No, you've got an assumption.
Oh, we got physical objects. The satellite.
You've got an assumption. Al-Biruni assumed it. We've just gone through this and now you're telling us about other nonsense that will no doubt be based on a presupposition of an R value assumed by Al-Biruni, who you trust and believe.
If it works, Nathan.
Yeah, if it works, right. No, you started with the presupposition and then went forward making measurements. Confirming those measurements based on the presupposition doesn't prove a thing, you idiot. You don't get...
Yes, it does. It proves that it works.
It proves that it works, but it's based on a presupposition. It doesn't prove the assumption. If you had proof of the assumption, you'd present it. You can't because you don't. When you get back to the original source, you find out that it's just an assumption.
Logical deduction.
Can you concede, Onotos, can you concede that all your spinning globe understanding is a base belief, understanding?
I would say no, because
it's based on belief and faith.
He would say no, even though literally 10 minutes ago he admitted that he just believes Al-Biruni. He's confessed to this. I can't be asked. He's not important enough to go away and get an edit and actually show this complete nonsense horseshit that he's doing right now. But basically he's admitted it. He just believes Al-Biruni. But now he's saying, no, it's not based on belief. Well, it is.
He was talking generally speaking. You won't even let me answer.
Not generally speaking, specifically speaking, about the foundation.
No, because you can...
Not no, yes. The radius. That's the debate. Are we on a sphere or not? What's your proof of it? Well, this guy just assumed it.
No,
Yes! That is what has happened. Why do you say no? Like you have some sort of argument by just disagreeing. Yes, Al-Biruni just assumed it. You believe him.
He logically deduced it.
You can call it what you like. He didn't scientifically validate it, did he?
Unorthodox.
Yes.
Here we are. Okay, you and I are going to do the trigonometry. We're not going to come up with the same answer.
Well, there's
What do you
something
do
wrong
then?
here.
What do you do then? Where do we go from there?
Well,
Because
we'd have to look at the.
your logical deduction and my logical deduction are not going to be the same.
What do we do then? Then we look at other things like
No,
the the sun,
no.
the moon.
We go back to the same. No, we go back to the same trigonometry. We work on the same problem. We don't add other problems because you know why? Your logical deduction on that problem and my logical deduction on that problem are not going to be the same. Okay, so don't add more problems. Stick to the one. And if you have a different logical deduction than I do, and we both are working the same problem, we have to stick with that problem.
We don't live in a bubble. You know, we can assess other arguments that are in relation to this argument to find out whether your argument's true or my argument's true.
You are now
misdirecting. That's called conversation.
You are now misdirecting.
You're telling me that we can't use other objects in the world around us to get an idea about this argument?
Yeah.
Why
certainly bodies are not objects in this world.
Why would we add another problem that I already know we're going to have opposing conclusions to? Let's just stick with the one. Stick with the one, do your trigonometry, and do not logically deduce. Just do the math. Just do the math. Don't deduce anything because math is true. Math is right.
That's not
okay?
true.
Now,
Well, if you just do the math, you end up with a triangle.
Off with you. Go away and come back when you've got your equation.
I've got it right here.
He's already told us. He just believed Al-Biruni. So Al-Biruni did this, but Al-Biruni made the logical deduction that he was on a sphere, then made the measurements.
Yes.
Yeah, and you believe him.
When the plane through say math is true, math is right, you know he was being sarcastic, right?
Do what now? Say that again.
When the plain truth said math is true, math is right, math is what it is, he was being sarcastic. You know that, right?
Yes, he was.
Because math can you can begin math with a false axiom and everything go down drain from there.
Garbage in, garbage out.
That's true. That's true.
Right. So when you make a logical deduction that you're on a sphere, and then take all of your measurements based on that presupposition, if the presupposition is wrong, then you can have massive problems thereafter.
But there's just so much evidence to logically deduce that you're on a sphere, Nathan. There's so much evidence that will lead you to that logical deduction.
Based on that presupposition, how many times have we got to go round this?
Yeah, I mean, I would argue.
Yeah, now you're just stuttering. Yes, it's all based on the presupposition of R, which you're content to just believe because Al-Biruni said so.
No, I'm not content to believe it because Al-Biruni said so. I'm content to believe it because of 20 other observations.
Who also presuppose R.
Equinox, satellites, the
No.
position of the equinox.
The satellites got into quoted orbit, another presupposition, using R.
What?
They used R. We're trying to get to the root
proves...
source of the original claim that the Earth is a sphere. What's the foundation?
You don't need that when you have the whole foundation.
Yes, you do need it. Yeah, you do. If you're just going to say it just is, I logically deduce, that's not satisfactory. You can accept it and believe it all you like. If you want to accept and believe Al-Biruni's logical deduction, that's your bag. You believe whatever you want.
Well, I don't really think it's a bag, though. That's what you guys never answered my question about if the Earth was proved flat, what would happen? I'd like to know your take on if the Earth was proved to be flat tomorrow, how would that change society?
Yeah, something
interesting.
Well, there would still be people around like you that just wouldn't take it anyway.
Yeah, but you guys
never let it go. You can never let go of your body.
I'd like to move on to something interesting. We're not moving past any of these points, you know.
No, it's because you haven't got any decent answers.
We're not moving past any of the points.
I've kept
the
this
R
going.
value
I've kept this tedium
Can we
going.
stay with that? Because if you think about it, you can't move past that just because it's not interesting. That doesn't work. You can't just declare, okay, well, I don't want to talk about that anymore, so let's just go and keep moving. You know what that's like doing? That's like building a house thinking that the foundation is going to fall in place.
Yeah, but we have tons of houses out there that are already built, though.
You're
Like,
misdirecting again, unorthodox. You're doing exactly what I said 2 minutes ago. You are now.
I don't think you got a good point, dude.
Okay, well, go away.
So you're saying that if
What, Slick James or Slick James? I thought it was
what
Slick
I'm saying is that, are you saying that you can build a house and the foundation will fall in place?
No, I'm saying there's a bunch of houses out there already built, so we know the foundation to be true.
I asked you. I didn't ask you that. I asked you, can you build a house and the foundation fall in place? Yes or no?
Can you build a house and the foundation fall in place? You mean just kind of like magically, kind of like?
Yes, that's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. Can that happen? Yes or no?
I mean, sure, just about anything's possible. I guess it could.
No, the answer is no. You have to plan the foundation. You have to build the foundation specifically for the house, and then it will work.
Yeah.
Right.
Generally speaking, yes, you're correct.
No, not generally. Not generally speaking. No, the answer is yes or no. So, are you saying that you can build a house and the foundation will fall in place? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, so that's what this is what our argument is. What you're telling us, if I'm just to use an analogy, you're taking all of this stuff and saying that we built all of this stuff, and because we built all of this stuff, it made the foundation. And that's what we're trying to explain to you, that we're not buying that. We want foundation first, not foundation second, because of the results of the assumption.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, you know precisely what to do, but if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!